Let's start with London, shall we? And these signs of stabilisation, what are they in the London market?
It's always hard to spot the bottom of a market. Quite often you can spot it several months after it's happened. But the time taken to sell a property, same as a year ago. So no year-on-year deterioration there. And as you say, that fall of 0.2% this month, the average over the last 5 years has been 0.6%. So some signs, particularly inner London as well, which is flat this month compared to previous times. So deterioration maybe.
Is that stabilising on very low volumes though?
Admittedly low volumes, but in truth the number of sales agreed, whilst they're down at 4.6% in the rest of the country, down just a couple of percent in London compared to a year ago. But that is from, as you say, a low base. So signs that we're bottoming out, but too early perhaps to say a recovery.
OK, Matt.
Personally know a few people who have recently sold a home in London, but that seems to be the exception that proves the rule. I mean, who on earth would sell into this market, Miles?
Well, indeed, the number of sellers coming to market down 18% on a year ago, and particularly in Transport for London zones 1 to 3, which are the more central zones. Zone 1, for example, 29% less sellers than a year ago. So what's happening is sellers are holding back. That's preventing an oversupply and a glut of properties on the market and giving buyers less choice, and that's one of the factors that's underpinning prices as well.
What about buyers? Are there more buyers than there were? I mean, surely right after Brexit, the uncertainty was high. On the other hand, maybe people were enticed by the lower prices that followed. Now, having spent a couple of years watching Britain unsuccessfully try to break away from the EU, are buyers more confident coming into this market?
I think one of the things that was seen with the new deadline pushed back to October the 31st, it gave a window of opportunity for people with families growing to actually say, do I need to get my new family home this year, or do I miss this window? So I think pushing out that Brexit deadline certainly helped give a window of opportunity, and it coincided with some of the busier months of the housing market as well.
So that changed things around a little bit, didn't it, the moving of the date? What about the underlying state of the UK economy, Miles, and what you see of it at the moment? I mentioned this because over the weekend, Resolution Foundation, a think tank, put out a piece that talked about how the risk of UK recession was at its highest level in more than a decade. They're taking their clues from gilt markets and what's going on in bond markets, but what do you see?
Well, the market fundamentals from the housing perspective still remain sound. You've got record employment, we've got low interest rates, we've got availability of mortgages as well. Obviously, prices have risen a lot over the last few years, and affordability has stretched in some markets, particularly further south that you go. But quite a lot of the country is actually seeing this as an opportunity, particularly with fixed rate mortgages, to actually secure a deal. And with prices broadly flat year on year, then affordability is actually improving because average wages are actually increasing at a faster rate finally than house prices.